First and foremost, I appreciate everybody hopping on today to meet Mr. Josh Malang and a part of his team. We've been doing quite a few series of webinars. Some people are repeats that I see on here. And, every time we get Josh and his team on the line and different things we're going through, it's always a learning experience, and it's moreover an opportunity to grow your business and excel further. So can't wait to get everybody on board here, get Josh rocking and rolling, and a part of his team as well. So Josh, let's go ahead and just start kicking butt and taking names and get some info out to these guys.
That's sweet, man. I appreciate it. Matt's on here. He's our kind of director of business development. So he's a person who really kind of has conversations with people to identify what areas, what kind of structures people may be missing that we can provide some value for them. So he's actually who takes care of kind of our what we call qualification calls from anybody who's interested in learning more about the work that we do. So I'll kind of reintroduce him at the end and get you his contact info. But yeah, so my name's Josh Malang. I'm over in Des Moines, which is finally above 60 degrees for the last 4 or 5 days. So we've effectively melted all of the nightmare snow pileups that we've had over the last few months. It was pretty nice over in Missouri Valley when we were over there last week too. So, I come up in the industry, in the senior market space specifically. I started working for a captive company when I was 22. Did pretty well with them, got into a leadership position. And built a bit of a team, started my business in June of 2008, and really was spent recruiting and training and developing people into the industry, providing them, kind of the support structure and resources that they need to build their business. Did that for about a dozen years and really just kind of ran out of steam a little bit on that and was really trying to take inventory on what we had built, what we had created from an asset standpoint at the company, and what we could do moving forward. And so one of the things that we identified was that we had developed some great internal kind of technology to help manage our operations. And so we spent a bunch of money on that, a bunch of resources to build that out. And that really helped separate us from an agency standpoint in terms of our ability to do some bigger agency stuff, but still be a smaller agency. What I mean by that is we didn't really have the ability to sort of hire away challenges that we encountered, obstacles that we encountered. And so we had to kind of build around them. And so we spent a lot of money building out this operational software. So we knew we had that. We had a fair amount of clients at that time, several thousand clients. So that was definitely an asset for us. And the other thing we had was a great staff. And so what we tried to do is really identify opportunities to take our business to the next level. And what we decided to do is really market technology. That's where ProDash came from. Producer Dashboard is really a CRM that we built for the senior market. And it really takes into account people's existing clients. So if they're using either filing cabinets or they're using spreadsheets or nothing or anything, we kind of can bring people's client information into the system, and then also their existing accounts, so they don't have to go to 100 different websites from all these different carriers to get their information. So we can get that and maintain it in the system as well. And then we also have the ability to quote. So we have all the quoting engines baked into the software as well. And then we have the ability to get people's leads in from various lead vendors through direct connection. So instead of having to go somewhere for the lead vendors, for the client information, for the account information, for quoting, that's really all in ProDash. So we put that in the market. That kind of evolved itself and is continually evolving. But that led us really into identifying that there was a huge opportunity for people that we were talking to about our technology to really be able to leverage our infrastructure. So we had gotten to a decent amount of scale between our technology and our staff, build a nice little infrastructure that's capable of really providing service proactively for several thousand people. I mean, right now we're servicing about 20,000 people out of the agency now, and we have the capacity for quite a bit more than that. But we identified that a lot of people didn't really have the structure to be able to really proactively service a large business. And so what we're finding is a lot of people get to that point where they've got a few hundred clients, but they can't really get to the next level because whether it's from reactive service, people's phones ringing and emails and text messages going off, or just the retention activities that it takes to retain clients, a lot of people are just incapable of continually growing their business past a certain amount. So most of us didn't come into the business with a huge background as far as like being able to hire and train and develop staff. And so that just becomes a missing structure for many of us. So we built that out as well, and that's our service model. So we'll talk about that in detail. And then as we're talking to people about the service model, we realized there's some other missing pieces in people's structures as well. And so one of those was really establishing a brand. I just got off the phone with somebody with a very successful agency that's got about 6,000 clients. They knocked down about $1 million a year in revenue, and they don't even have a brand. They don't have a brand. They have a one-page website that was made by one of the staff in WordPress. They don't have any point of sale materials they use with their clients. They're not established as a business. And this is $1 million a year revenue, practice. It's like a lot of people get to very successful levels in this industry without creating some of these basic structures. And so we can kind of bolt on to wherever people are at and really help them get to the next level more efficiently and beyond. So the tech is one of the things that we decided we're going to market. We really started talking to people about this proactive service model. And it's really resonated with a lot of people who are like, man, I'm not an operations person. I'm a salesperson. I'm good at that. I love that. I add value to people with that. I kind of like to just do more of that rather than, have to basically be unemployed for 3 or 4 months, chasing around the existing clients that I have to keep them on the books. And so we built the service model. Then we built this brand in a box thing where people can, we're constantly adding to this deal where we're creating these different brands, and then we leverage our point of sale materials and things like that. That led us into striking up a joint venture with a firm out of Utah. We got into the kind of branding and rather into the website and SEO business by partnering with the firm out of Utah. And that's really allowed us to help people with some of the search engine optimization, particularly in the Google My Business section, and really driving really intentional client reviews to really create some of the relevance and prominence that Google's looking for in terms of being able to share your profile with people in your local community. And then we do some work as well on the marketplace side. So we found that most of the people in this business have a really illiquid, unmarketable practice. They don't have a business, they don't have a company. And I was one of those too, where we all think, gosh, we own this thing, it's our business. But like at the end of the day, unless you have a market for your business, it's I don't care how much you think it's worth, it's maybe not worth much. And so one of the things we try to do is identify these missing structures people have, help plug in what they're missing to help them get to that next level, whether it's as a producer, as a manager, or even as you're sort of on your glide path into retirement, making sure that you got these things in place so that you do have a valuable business and you do have something that is marketable that you can transition to somebody else. So I'm going to talk about 3 principles before we get going, and then I'm going to share some of the solutions that we have with ProDash in terms of our branding and tech and service and some of these other things. But the first thing I want to talk about is really structure, and I'm going to share my scribble pad here with you guys. Andrew, Andrew, Matt, you got anything you want to jump on as far as like where we've been and where we come to here?
Yeah, I mean, when we first started with Josh, and getting things going with agents, I think, I was a part of each one of the agents, from going to Mike, having a conversation with him and doing evaluation and going down the road in the path to, getting to be able to talk to Josh. And, the thing that's different about what Josh and what ProDash does is that it's not a cookie cutter thing. They really look at your business. They look at you as an individual and the people that are around you to really figure out what's going to work for you. So they're really evaluating your business, giving you little tidbits and hints here and there as you go along. So recommend just hopping on a call with Matt to see, which direction you can go, and then eventually going down that path and meeting with Josh. And whether you do business with him or not, and do business through Western Marketing, you're going to get something out of it. So it's worth the call to be able to do because it's individualized. They're taking care of you as an agency owner or as an individual, and bringing you to the next level or getting what you need. So
that's awesome, man. And we really have found that we're not an IMO. We're not pretending to be an IMO. We're not trying to get into that space. So and I refer to it often. I've tried to figure out maybe a more articulate way of saying it, but the 3-legged stool concept that we leverage here with, Western Marketing providing, their wholesale specialty and all the value add that they bring from that standpoint, and people's visions that they have for their practice or their agency or their business or whatever. And then also kind of some of the structures that we provide, in a business to business and operational sort of setting are really like an unbeatable combination. So some of the people we've already started working with are really getting their businesses set up really effectively to really play offense for a living instead of kind of sitting back on their heels and being reactive and playing defense for a living once they get to a certain point. So it's been awesome. It's been a ton of fun. Yeah, we've got a nice group of people that we've kind of started working with, and it's just been a blast. So I'm going to talk about structure, valuation, and market for kind of our little opening statement here. So first thing, as far as structure, this is something that a lot of people miss, and we're going to focus all this around succession planning because that's kind of what you guys are all here for today. So as it relates to succession planning, structure is absolutely imperative. And when I talk about structure, I'm talking about like not only legal, but also licensing and contracting. So it's really important that you have entity licensing. When I say entity licensing, I mean like an LLC or an S Corp or something that you want to have licensed with whatever states you're in as far as the insurance commissioners. You want to have entity licensing in place, and we'll talk about why here in a minute. The second thing is you want to have your commissions assigned. To that entity, okay? The reason why the entity licensing is so important is because as a licensed and certified and contracted principal to an entity, you're allowed to get paid from the carriers, okay? If you you have to have a licensed, certified, and contracted principal of an agency in order to get paid. So if you get paid individually and something happens to you, whether you're not able to work or you pass away or whatever, if you don't have a license and contract in place, and obviously if you're dead, you don't, you're not going to be getting paid anymore. So a lot of people think, well, shit, I'll just have my renewals are going to continue on to my spouse. Something happens to me and they're going to be able to live off of that. That's not how it works. Okay. If you've ever seen or heard of an orphan policyholder, there's many reasons, many ways that the orphan policyholder can become an orphan policyholder. One of the biggest ways is somebody dies or somebody doesn't get their AHIP or their product specific certification or whatever. So if something happens to someone who doesn't have an active contract, doesn't have the certifications for the year, all their customers become orphan clients and their revenue goes directly to the carrier. And the last time I checked, carriers still aren't doing anything to provide service for people who are orphan clients. Last time I checked, they just kind of keep it and do nothing and just sort of collect the money. So by having an entity license, that allows you to, if something happens to you, someone else can step in as the principal of your firm and continue to get that money and have those clients be active clients. So it's really, really key from that standpoint. Andrew, do you want to share maybe a story? Because we have stories that we've already worked with in a couple short months on how to do this right and how to not do this right that we have seen and try to help people. But I know you guys have run into a ton of them even very recently.
Yeah, I mean, one of the ones that kind of hits home is, we had a guy that's in a state pretty close to us here. Been doing business for the last, 15 plus years, had a massive block of MAPD business, had no problem passing his AHIP, but he didn't pass his carrier certification right away. I mean, that's a little along the lines of it, but, being careful that's there. I mean, that doesn't have to do with the entity, but one of the other individuals that's there, had a business owner, passed away. He was in the hierarchy, and basically got thrown into this huge mess, and everything was not organized and was not set up systematically so that somebody could take over or have that succession plan, and created tons of turmoil. Instead of focusing on AEP and growing his business, helping his agents, he got thrown into being a business owner right away and had no idea what he needed to do, and had to reach out and try to figure out what to do rather than sell. So going along these lines, getting this set up right the first time is going to save you guys a lot of headache. Maybe a family member, a coworker, a lot of stress and headache that's not needed. So it's very important stuff. Yeah.
And there's ongoing turmoil with that deal that we're still trying to help everyone through. So that was definitely it was managed very effectively, but it was done on a reactive basis. Could have been done a lot more effectively. So entity license.
Good way to put it, reactive.
The second thing about that is kind of the assignment of commissions for what you already have on the books. And then the other thing from that is setting up a license-only agent relationship with your entity so that your entity gets paid all the commission. You're at like a level 0 or level X or Z in some cases with carriers, they call it, so that basically the entity becomes really a flow through. So that's super important from the standpoint of being able to acquire a practice. I don't want to acquire a practice that's in some dude's name, because if that dude doesn't get a license or certification in a year, all that business is gone. The clients are orphans, the revenue's gone. That's not a good deal. So whether you're approaching wanting to sell your business or not, you need to definitely get that stuff in place, because if something happens to you, it's not a good deal. The dude that he was talking about was 41 years old, by the way, in Nebraska. The one he was talking about where the agency owner died. It's 41 years old. So I'm 40, right? And I mean, there's a lot of us out here that are younger. Some of us are older, but we need to get taken care of right away. So I know Western Marketing's got some resources from that standpoint, so reach out to them. But entity license is really kind of number one. Number two thing that's really key is valuation. So it's one thing to have everything set up correctly. It's another thing to really know what you've got. We all kind of assume that what we have is worth like millions of dollars. And it's a little bit more direct than that. So we've built a valuation tool that takes into account 15 different factors that really provides the maximum amount of value for a senior market agency getting purchased by a senior market agency, someone who knows what they're doing, someone who can take advantage of the opportunities, the existing client relationships, the existing accounts. And so we do this valuation, and it really helps people identify what the thing is actually worth, right? We kind of think, oh, well, I'm going to retire and, I'm just going to sell this thing to some other dude and, he's going to take it over and grow it. And I'm going to get a big check and kind of sail off into the sunset. I'm going to move down to Key West, well, it's like, what is the thing actually worth? So that's really a fundamental thing you need to find out is like, all right, well, I've got this thing. What's this thing worth? It's really something you need to look at, not like when you're about to retire, but really on an ongoing basis. I mean, if we manage our business like a business, don't businesses know what they're worth every year? Don't businesses know what they're worth every quarter? They know what their revenue and expenses are. They know what their profit and loss is. They know what their EBITDA is. They know what they got. They know what their thing is worth. And if you're treating your business like a business, that's going to pay you like a business, and you're going to be able to sell it like a business. If you're treating it like a hobby or a practice, it's going to pay you like one, and you're going to have trouble selling the thing. So from a succession planning standpoint, getting an established baseline of evaluation is really critical. We look at things like, again, it's a service we provide, but we look at things like average age of clients that you've got, average duration of med subs that you got on the books, percentage that you have of cross-selling, percentage you have of upselling, all this kind of stuff, as well as the percentage of contracts you have above street level. All these things are really factors from a valuation standpoint. So you've really got to make sure you got one of those in place to really know what it is you've actually got. Somebody has a question here. Assuming primary agent passes away, in order for commissions to be assigned to the entity, that spouse has to be licensed and maintain contracts with the carriers, correct? That's correct. Great question. They would in turn become the principal to the entity. So that's really key. Spouse. Yeah, that's a good question. So valuation. So we can provide a valuation for you as a foundational thing to know really what your business is worth. And from that point, we'll go into number three. Number three, I updated here, is a plan, an actual physical written succession plan. So a succession plan says, if this, then that, right? If something happens to me, what am I going to do with it? So we built several of these now as we're working with people on transitioning their business, having an actual written plan that says, there's three ways to exit. Just think about like, for those of you who are in like life insurance selling and things like that, like an estate plan where it says, whether an estate plan or a business like buy-sell agreement, where if number one, the person passes away, number two, if they decide to retire, number three, if they become disabled, what happens, how does it happen, that sort of thing. So having an actual written succession plan in place, accompanied with a valuation on a business that has entity licensing, commissions assigned, and LOA is really the first three steps that you need to take in terms of building really an offer, building an offering for putting your business on the market. And then the last thing is actually having a market. So, if I think this phone's worth, $4,000 and I don't have anybody to give me $4,000 for it, it ain't really worth $4,000. So it doesn't really matter what I think it's worth or what it's like what the market thinks it's worth. So if there's no market for your business, there's no market for your business, meaning unless there's somebody who is willing to buy it or is willing to buy it for what you want for it, it doesn't really matter. So establishing a reasonable valuation, having a written succession plan, building these structures in place, sort of gets you a ticket to the show. And then it comes down to like, who are you going to sell your business to? So from a market standpoint, I know Western Marketing, we are kind of drawing several different deals up that are going to kind of go to them. They work with us on the back end to service with our service model, the acquisitions that they make of retail blocks of business. I know for a fact, I talked to Mark Finken last week. They're very much in the market of looking at downline practices for acquisition, whether it's an agency or an individual producer. So that's something that as we kind of go through this process with people, they're like, all right, well, now that I've got this thing ready to sell, like who would buy it? And so we actually send those over to Western Marketing and have Mark and the team take a look at them. They're actively in the business of acquiring downline practices to help provide a succession planning for the people that they've worked with for 20, 30, 40 years. So and as I said, we are actually responsible for managing those retail customer relationships on the back end for them. And that was kind of how we established our relationship. And we're also in this space as well. So if somebody's got a practice that maybe isn't exactly a fit for the Western Marketing kind of their succession planning or acquisition appetite, if you will, we are open for business on that side as well. In addition to that, with the people we work with on the tech and service and some of these other structures that we have pretty significant amount of people that are open for the opportunity to acquire or merge with practices. So the key really is being able to have someone who can take over the business and provide as good or better service than you can to your existing customers, preferably using your brand and likeness if possible for a period of time. You don't want to sell your business to another person who's in the same situation that you're in. It's like there's so many of us that are, people in their 60s, 70s, 80s that are wanting to sell their business, and the only person they know that's qualified enough to take it is the dude 3 towns over that's in the exact spot that they're in, where they've got a successful practice and no one to sell it to. So, being able to plug into, having a proactive service model is a really huge advantage for people in terms of being able to transition their business. I'm going to grab another question here. How does one get an entity license if they already have LLCs set up or a C or S corp better structure? I'm gonna give you a cop out answer. The C or S corp LLC question is an accountant question. So I'm not passing the buck on that. That part is a accounting question. But if you have already an LLC set up, you just have to work with your state insurance department to get that to be a licensed entity. And if you are a licensed contracted certified producer, the licensing for your corporation goes in line with the principal's licensing. So I will defer back to Western Marketing on that one as well, because I know they've helped a ton of people out with that stuff, aiming them in the right direction. But if you've got an LLC set up, that's great. But getting that thing licensed is really kind of the next step. I've always done business with LLCs, and I have their taxed as S corps, but that's just me. If you're trying to become a publicly traded company, C corp is a better structure. And S corp is perfectly fine as well. But defer to your tax person on really which specific vehicle is the best for you. But if you have one, you just need to get it licensed. And then the licensing and contracting at Western Marketing kicks in to help you with these other things as far as the commission assignment and LOAs and that kind of stuff. So awesome question. So I'm done with these main things. Then I'll kind of talk about some of the solutions that we have. Do you guys have anything to add from the people that we've been engaging with, the discussions we've had or you've seen in terms of entity licensing, valuation, succession planning, or creating a marketplace?
Yeah. Can you hear me okay, Josh? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. I mean, the entity licensing, like Josh is saying, we can help you out with that and get set up. A lot of people, one thing that people that have never been LLC, S corp, or had that license that they don't understand is, if you're multi-state licensed, 95% of your carriers that you get appointed with, number one, you're going to get appointed in your resident state. But if you're going to do business with, say, Aetna, for example, on the supplemental side, they got final expense, cancer, heart attack, stroke, everything like that. In order for you to do business outside of your resident state, your entity or your LLC needs to be licensed as well. So there'll be a non-resident appointment that will be for you as an individual, and then also for you as an entity. Seen it multiple times where people get the LLC, get the resident state, they go on the e-app, write a med sup in their neighboring state, but their entity is not licensed. Essentially, that person is not going to have an active policy. Aetna is going to kick it back to you. So you have questions about how you want to do business, how to get licensed, give us a call. We'll help you out so you're set up correctly the first time. The only other thing that I would add to Josh and where he has there is those top 3 points. Whether you're going to put your practice on the market or not, having that valuation is so critical. Have an agent that's been with us for about 5 or 6 years. He just kept track of his clients in an Excel spreadsheet, Google Doc, which is honestly better than some. Some of them just have a paper file, which is okay too. People are very organized with their paper files. But he's like, man, I got 600 clients on the books and, all these policies. I'm like, man, you're rocking it. You did really good in the last 5 to 6 years. Proud of you. Plug them in the system, get an evaluation. Guess what? You got about 300 active, which means that he doesn't have the notifications that people are either falling off, passing away, another agent picked them up. So to know where your book's at, what's active, and where the opportunity is, it's priceless to have that. So
awesome. That's good, man. I can't speak to that enough. I mean, we to be able to really work on your business, not just work in your business, and actually be able to view it as such and manage it as such. These are just things that really need to be taken care of. They're not as intimidating as they may sound either. Just connect with us. I mean, what we do is again, between Western Marketing and us, we really help identify and plug in the missing structures that you have from getting to the next level. And certainly having the right licensing contracting in place is imperative to get to the next level. I had another example on that, and I got a minute here. I'm going to burn with this story. So one of the other guys that you guys had referred to us is a sole proprietor on his business, and he's making $400,000 a year. And he personally is getting a 1099 from his upline. It's like, so one of the other things, just purely from a tax standpoint, having an LLC in place or whatever it is that you've got, and having your commissions paid to that allows you to have that as a business and be an employee of that business and actually get a W-2 from yourself. And so my W-2 is generally a lot less than our gross revenue that comes in the door, because I don't want to pay self-employment tax and all the employee and employer withholdings on every dollar that I bring in. So the math on that, and don't quote me, but I think he's going to end up saving about $30,000 a year in taxes just by having a corporation set up and having commissions paid to that, because he doesn't have to take all of that as earned income. All that is, which is a lot of money, right? And we do not have a revenue profit sharing for how much money we save people in taxes, but that would be nice. Probably would have bought us all a nice little vacation with that. You write that down. It's something we probably need to work on. One of us needs to become a CPA and do a rev share on the tax savings. Until then, it's just part of kind of going through our process. But that's another thing, really, from a tax standpoint. So you got legal protection, you got tax savings, and also really from a business standpoint, it's really, really key. So we're going to dig into some of these solutions that we bring to the table on succession planning. Really kind of excited to share this with you. So we had our intro. We'll talk about branding, tech, service, some of the things we do from a consulting standpoint, and then the marketplace, and then kind of what to do. To save the suspense, as always, what we're looking for is a conversation with you guys. Your call to action here is connect with us. We've got an automatic email that'll come out after the call. It's going to hit your inbox. Sign up for a consultation. Matt will kind of carry you through and identify the things that we think we may be able to do to provide some value for you. If there's some opportunities there, he's going to send you on to me within a few days. You're going to have a conversation with me more on an in-depth level, on a business level, as far as some of the very specific things you're doing and strategies that you have and vision you have for your business. And then I kind of have what we call recommendation call from there to really talk about, all right, well, it looks like there's a good opportunity for us to work together. Here's a couple of things we do. Here's what it would look like, cost, timeline, that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, if we can't do anything to put you in a better spot, we're going to tell you. If we can, we're going to talk about it. I mean, that's really how we operate. We've had a lot of people where it's like, man, you're pretty well set up, or there's not anything we do that could benefit you right now. But if this, that, or the other thing changes, let us know. So there's a lot of those phone calls, but the call to action here is really, let's hop on the phone. And don't worry like, gosh, is this a thing for me or not? Am I set up right or not? Get on the phone. We'll set up an appointment. We'll have a conversation about it, and we'll go from there. So no cost or anything on that stuff. So let's talk a little bit about branding. This is a really key structure for people. A lot of us don't have access to, graphic design and printing and that kind of stuff at a reasonable cost. It's like everywhere you go, everything you touch turns into an expense when you're a business owner. So it's like one last thing to mess around with, one last thing to pay for. But we created this brand in a box program, which is pretty sweet. It's really helping a lot of people. We've got this plug and play branding thing. It's like, well, yeah, I kind of worked on a logo, but I never really finished it. Or, I heard an hour ago, like, oh, we hired somebody for that. They created a brand for us. And then 3 months later, we saw 2 other people in our county that had the same brand. Oh, okay. That's like it's like a producer selling the beat to 2 different people. Like, that's not cool, man. Can't do that. So, a lot of us just don't know where to start, right? And most of us are salespeople or recruiters. We're not operations people. We don't have, these types of structures available. So, being able to plug into this brand in a box thing really has helped elevate a lot of people's position inside their local markets and really create some credibility for them. So, we can turn it around usually in a couple of weeks, pretty easily. We've got communication built at key moments in the client's relationship with you. It really helps drive referrals. Frankly, when you come off with this really professional, polished, sort of universal brand with people, your clients go, wow, they're making moves, like they're stepping up. This is impressive. Everybody's clients do business with them that you're where the relationship is. But when they see that like you're backed by like a company or a business that's actually a reputable, well-positioned business, it makes it even easier for them, more excited for them to do business with you, send referrals to you, and that sort of stuff. So, just from a pure trust building standpoint, being able to have a consistent brand throughout your stationery and things like that is really a basic, fundamental kind of structure. So we set people up with letterhead and business cards, stuff like that. And then also credibility wise, we've got these 4 topical brochures that we just love. They're super effective. We've got one for retirement investing basics, ancillary benefits, life insurance, and Medicare changes and benefits. And so we update these every year for whether it's tax or like Medicare. This is 2021. Obviously, we have those out now. So we build these trifolds for you. And then we also have a PDF, which comes in a PDF. And then we have like a 1-page PDF that's really more for emailing and stuff like that. But again, it's a way to have conversations, educate your clients on what they have, what their options are, without using like Aetna stuff or Humana stuff. It's like, when you're trying to say, I'm an independent person, I work in several areas, I work with several companies, but like every time you talk to them, it's a Mutual of Omaha brochure or something. It's like, you kind of lose a little bit of that credibility. So by creating and establishing and reinforcing that independent positioning and branding helps you down the road. And as we are talking about succession planning now, if I'm buying, Rodman Incorporated versus buying, JR Insurance Solutions Inc., it's a lot easier for me to buy the latter than the former because, if all of a sudden I'm not a Rodman, people go, wow, you're not a Rodman. What happened here? If I'm buying a business. So having an independently branded company is literally in our valuation formula is an actual literal value boost to the business, because if someone is buying it, they don't have to be, if it's Matt McCormick Inc., you don't have to be Matt McCormick to be able to run the business and still have credibility. So that independent branding is an actual value creator for evaluation. So as you're setting yourself up for succession planning, it's really one of those things that's key. Building loyalty through, these like policy anniversary cards, birthday cards, thank you cards. These are all, none of the things that we do, you guys, are independent thoughts that we've come up with. They're all just things that we've executed on. Having a thank you card and happy birthday card and anniversary card is not an original thought, but being able to have them white labeled and sort of produced for people who don't have them is something that need to be executed on. So it's like, if you're writing this on like a back of a Hallmark card or something like that, it's probably going to come off a little bit better if it's, branded for you and for your organization. And just, again, continually reinforcing that branding and messaging. So that's some of the print stuff. We put some digital things for people together as well. We have a LinkedIn banner, Twitter header, a Facebook cover, universal profile image. these are just the basic things. We're not going to manage those things for you. We have a partnership with a firm that we're establishing that will, but these are basically just to set up your basic, headers and banners and things like that to be in alignment with the rest of your brand, which is really a kind of like step one with that stuff. So, and then we also have this what to say and how to say it guide. This is really just a Word file with print letters. You can copy and paste it into emails. And it's really set up for kind of the language, the talking points that you need with new prospects, referrals, existing client touch points, anniversaries, birthdays, that kind of stuff. What to say and how to say it. Most of us aren't, didn't get journalism degrees or writing degrees or anything like that. So there's probably people better, more qualified to do that than us. And so we've got this little brand thing put together by people who are actually good writers that you just kind of copy and paste and use it and look smart and have your brand on it. So we do have all these different brands that we've already built. We're adding to it as people take them off the shelf or replacing them with new ones. These are an example of a few of the brands that we built. Obviously, you can envision them with your company name on them. But yeah, we've got about 30 of them built, which there's some really, really awesome ones left, actually. So we talk about like the power psychology and things like that with these things, in terms of mountains representing stability, the points showing upward growth, these kind of things. So each of these logos really has some science behind it, if you can believe that, as far as what the design is about, what the color scheme is about, and that sort of thing. So it's a really cool thing to be able to have a conversation with your clients about that stuff as well. Why you have this brand, what it means to you, and that kind of thing. So talk about branding. So again, from a succession planning standpoint, having an independent brand is a value boost for the actual value of your business in our valuation formula, and is really key to being able to transition a business from, whether it's one generation to the next or from you to somebody else. Andrew, what you've seen in terms of wins and losses on this, what kind of comments do you have about the branding as far as a beneficial structure for people?
Yeah, I mean, the branding, number one, I mean, we're looking at succession planning, but I mean, succession planning itself, we're talking about, growth in your business, to make your evaluation higher towards the end when you're getting ready to transition the last couple of years. But having that consistent brand so that, yes, we are an Aetna guy, or yes, you're a Mutual of Omaha guy, but it's a brand that you can go into any household, any presentation they come to your office, and you can offer whatever the heck you want because you're an independent agent. You're not just stuck. Like Josh was saying, when you're actually going to transition that off and say you're going to sell your business or, your next of kin that's coming up, you already have all that branded stuff done. They don't need to reinvent it. They don't need to change the name of it. It's done. It's established. If you've been doing it for a while, it's going to be established in your community. Got some large agencies that out in, Virginia, Carolinas and stuff, and they see their logo and they know exactly what they're about. They're about health, wealth, and retirement. I mean, all over the state of Virginia, North Carolina. So, but they've been doing it for a while and they've gotten their brand out there. So I think it's very important to establish that and get on that bandwagon as soon as you possibly can.
I like it. Bandwagon. I like it. Hop on the bandwagon.
Yeah. Iowa,
Get
corn cart,
Get on the branding bandwagon. So one of the other things we're talking about is technology. So we've always been really a tech-focused agency. And really getting all of our stuff in one spot was key for us to be able to grow at a pretty fast level. We have ProDash as a tech platform. We think it's awesome for a senior market agent. It's not perfect for everybody. It's not, if you're a big ACA person, it might not be the best deal for you. If you're big into the whether it's retirement income or investment space, there may be some better solutions for you on that side as well. It's really not for group health people. If you're a senior market producer and you're working with some of those, life and investment and Medicare type stuff, it's rock solid for you. If somebody has technology in place that they like, that's a fit for their agency or their practice, sweet. If you don't love what you have, if you don't have anything, or you want to look at your options, we got ProDash, and ProDash is great. So this kind of talks a little bit about that. But that is one of the structures that we provide to help people level up. So we do have a dashboard in there. It keeps track of monthly stats for you, as far as number of accounts you have in new business, number of accounts that you've written, existing customers that you've got. You can check quotes from all these different places. We have news and things like that on the platform built in there. Quoting wise, we can quote med subs, MAPD, final expense, dental. Our hospital indemnity quoter is going to be out here in the next 3 weeks from our developers. So it's in quality assurance or whatever they call it now. So that'll be here soon. Anybody who's using CSG Actuarial's quoting engines, we use CSG Actuarial as a data feed into here. So it's the same data, same quoting. So it's all in here. And then we have the CRM client section, which is basic demographic info, including their Medicare ID and dates, whether or not they use tobacco, email opt-outs, that sort of thing. So that's all in here. And then we also have the accounts and files section, which you can put anything in here. So it's really, as I mentioned, senior market focused, because the quoting is senior market focused. Some of the language and things like that in there is really has a senior market slant to it. But as far as existing accounts, you can put anything in here. So you can put, if you got retirement accounts or under 65 health or whatever you've got, you can put whatever account in here that you want. The thing really just shines in the senior market because of some of the integration that we have with the quoting and stuff like that. But so you put all the different accounts you have with your clients, get all that in one spot instead of having that, all at the carriers. This example, they have a final expense, a Humana Plan G, and it looks like an old Descendo plan. So you have to go to all these different carriers' websites to get all that information. So once it's in here, it can be managed kind of universally. So it's pretty cool that way. And then we have the ability to search by account. You can look by carrier, product type, all kinds of different stuff. So that's pretty neat. We do have several task boards built out in here. One of them for a renewal task flow, one of them for a new lead, a final expense opportunity, canceling an old policy, and then kind of an AEP workflow for, we rebuilt out these pre-built task flows for those different scenarios to help you kind of work through some of the things you need to do from moving a client through your pipeline. So that's kind of a cool thing. And then also the ability to send emails and letters out of here is really valuable because the information is in there on your existing client demographic information, on their existing plan, and on whatever it is that you want to quote them. You can send out these really kind of pre-populated letters to clients. Very professional, and it really is on brand, and it really pretty powerful stuff. So one of the things that we find people really like, particularly wholesalers that we work with on these things, is the analytics that this provides. Being able to have the client information in terms of the number of clients you have, average age, how long the policy's been on the books, as well as the premiums, is really allows you to identify opportunities that may exist with your existing clients to cross-sell or upsell or retain or whatever. So that's a pretty cool thing. When you've got all your stuff in one spot, you can view things like that. And then we also have account level analytics, which talks about the total number of accounts, total number of premium. You can look by yourself or your downline if you have any. Break it down by product type, break it down by carrier, break it down by producer. So you really get a lot of information in here from an analytics standpoint to help you, again, manage your business like a business. So that's kind of the technology piece. So again, if you have technology, does it do all these things? If not, ProDash might be a great opportunity for you. If you don't have anything, ProDash is definitely a great opportunity for you. If you've got Google Sheets or spreadsheets or filing cabinets, we can help you migrate that info in here and get it all in one spot. So you need to have a CRM. Again, one of the triggers on our valuation formula is whether or not you have data in a CRM. If I'm buying an agency, one of my staff and my assistant and I spent 4 hours in a dude's basement in Kansas City about a month ago, literally taking pieces of paper out of his paper files so that we could get the information into one spot, into a database to value his business. This is a guy's business we're going to take over, is in the filing cabinet. So from an acquisition standpoint, you don't want to have people come and spend the day at your house digging through your files to find out what you've got. That doesn't make it for a super attractive, acquisition target. So if you're trying to create a market for your business, as far as acquisition or succession planning, having all of your information in one spot is really valuable for somebody who's coming to, potentially take it over. Andrew or Matt, comments on, again, what you have seen or be done well or not well from the standpoint of having people's information in one CRM.
Sure. So I can go from the valuation side. So Andrew made reference to someone thought they had 600 clients and then they end up having around 300. So our team, when they go to onboard you, what they'll do is we track, we can do the tracking of the commission and also the premium in the system. And so we'll work with you to pull all that information from the carriers. So you'll know how many clients you have. And then sometimes if they're in MedSup, the commission may fall off. You'll be able to track that with the analytics, but also see how many you have active, which will help with that valuation side, which Josh referenced earlier. So,
Rodman?
Yeah, I mean, I'll add to that. I mean, if you went back to that slide, Josh, where it broke down by product and carriers and stuff, you know, for us here at Western Marketing, we got a lot of agents that are just one product focused, MedSup, final expense, MAPDs, whatever it might be. But when we have this and we can work with you, we can directly target and say, okay, here's your opportunity. I mean, obviously hospital indemnity for Medicare Advantage, your MedSup blocks of business. Maybe we're seeing a rate increase that we keep you up to date with, and you're in Nebraska and somebody takes a massive hike. We can go quickly, efficiently go in there and see all those people and make sure we can get a hold of them right away. That data there is going to be very, very valuable for you, so you can keep track of your book of business and not just say, hey, I got 600 clients because I did 600 enrollments and that's what my line on my Excel spreadsheet says. You're actually going to know who's in your book of business and where your opportunities are and where to be proactive in the market of either selling additional products or maintaining your book of business. So being proactive versus reactive, this is a huge, huge, huge selling point.
So you mentioned Nebraska. So you guys have huge rate increases in Nebraska too?
We've had a few of them. I know I've got a couple people here in Nebraska. So anything of that 15 or more kind of makes a few people a little nervous and you get some angry clients. So imagine being proactive, reaching out to them first and getting in front of them so that the competitor down the street isn't stealing your block of business. So.
I thought we were just getting picked on here in Iowa. So that's
no, we get picked on in Iowa too.
Okay. So good. Yeah. Tech, super important. So service, another thing that, you know, being able to have independently serviced block of business is critical from a succession planning standpoint, because if you're managing all your business and you're not there, your clients are used to that experience. And then somebody else buys your business, if you're not managing it, then that's a problem for the clients. If you have something that's independently serviced, that can really create additional value as kind of a bonus for your practice. Because if we're buying a practice and somebody else is managing it for you proactively, we can use that same relationship to service it once we've taken it over. So if it's everyone has 24/7 access to the writing agent, that's probably not a good acquisition, because they're going to expect to be able to get a hold of somebody 24/7, which is very, very unrealistic. So being able to have an independently positioned service structure in place is a huge thing. So what we've really identified is how we can provide a white label customer service experience for people who have a significant amount of clients. So we can send out these meet your service team things, which have actually our staff on it. So your people can get, hey, this is the agent, here's the agency, and then this is the actual service team that's there to really manage the business. So we take and build a proactive service model for you, give you a dedicated local or 800 number, give you a dedicated email. You can start directing traffic towards us to take care of that reactive and proactive customer service on your behalf, including during AEP, educating people on what they have, what their options are, that kind of thing. We'll go over that in a sec here. So transparency in the process, whether you're using ProDash or you're using some other CRM that will get a seat on for you, we will make all the documentation in either your CRM or ProDash, so you can see every client engagement that we have. The other thing we do is record every single phone call internally here. So if there's any need or desire for auditing any phone calls or whatever, we have access to that information as well. So the whole thing is really to provide service on your behalf, not replacing you, replacing your time, not replacing you. And so that empowers you to go out and be an even better agent for the existing clients you have, to be able to be a better agent for growing the business and working on either cross-selling or upselling or bringing on new accounts. So the idea is not to replace anyone. It's really to empower them to go out and grow the business even bigger using their face and using their branding and everything else. It's just setting up a customer service team for people. Got a question here. What's the average cost of buying a business or just buying, what's the average cost of buying a business or just buying open and closed deal? Not sure. I think that might be a valuation question. Hit Matt up for more details on that. I want to make sure I have clarity before I just throw an answer at you, Rick. I think you might be asking like, what's an average multiple, but hit us up. We'll get you some more details. MedSup, we reach out to people who we're providing service for prior to the rate action to let them know what they have, what the rate's changing to, and what it's going to be in the future. We also hit them with an ancillary communication to help them become educated on some of the gaps they may have in their coverage from a dental vision hearing standpoint, hospital indemnity, short-term care, some of these other type of things where a lot of us are so focused on bringing on new customers and retaining them that we don't get to the cross-selling and upselling stuff. We don't get to those next level sales that really our clients need and want. Because we're kind of underwater with the day-to-day of our practice. So we also talked to them about existing life and annuity accounts that they have to help them be, again, educated on what they have and let them know if what they have is not doing what they think it's going to do, we can provide them some options. So we get paid to provide the reactive service, as well as the retention for people's med subs and MAPDs. And then for the ancillary and life and annuity, we do revenue shares, 50-50 rev shares on those if we're able to help dig up opportunities for those types of things that you're not working on. Or has been some people who are like, man, I'd love to write more ancillary stuff. I just don't have the time. Well, if they pay us to service their med subs and MAPDs, they're going to have more time. And so what we end up doing is just sending those over to them as a qualified lead to close themselves. So you don't have to split anything with us. On the life and annuity, it's more complex because you've got additional licenses and certifications and qualifications and that kind of thing. So a lot of people don't like messing with that. So we just kind of write it and split it with them 50-50 out of our commission accounting system. So that's what we do on the med subs. On MAPD, similar kind of thing. During AEP, we reach out to them, let them know what they have, what their options are. Again, during AEP, it's a total land grab. I use that term. I can't think of anything better where, everyone is a prospect for a couple months out of the year. Everybody's talking about it. So, but we spend 80 or 90% of our time retaining our existing clients during that time instead of bringing on new ones. And if you're in a position where you can just bring on new customers during that period of time, you can totally make it rain every year and add huge hundreds of clients every year. So we really take some of that back end retention and reactive service burden off of you so you can go out and build your business really aggressively during AEP every year. But then again, we'll talk to them about ancillary and life and annuity opportunities. We just become your back office from a service standpoint. It's been really an amazing journey for myself and then my agency and then some of the people that we're helping with their practices and their agency to kind of see this evolve in terms of how we can help people level up and grow their business. So again, some more client experience, with your brand and your face and our team, kind of how that looks. So on the consulting side, we provide some structures there to really help people get to the next level. As far as, the business owners, whether you're a top producer person or an agency builder or a succession planning person, there's not a lot of people in our industry that are really open to having conversations about some of the challenges and obstacles that they face in a similar situation to you. So we set this up to really provide a resource and support for individuals who are trying to get to the next level and they don't know what they're missing. So I wrote a book called The Mogul Maker Method that identifies where you're at in the career, how to identify where you're at and how you get to the next level. We're building out these virtual training sessions for you and your team or staff. We're setting up weekly group coaching as we're kind of building this out right now with a bunch of the people that we've been helping on the ProDash side. We're kind of creating some of these things. We're going to be putting on boot camps and retreats as well. So the whole objective here is really to create a culture that people with similar obstacles and challenges can kind of lean on one another, because it's super lonely, when you're trying to build a business and you don't have someone who you can look up to or count on that does what you do. I mean, everybody's upline and Western marketing do a great job, but they're not in the retail space. They're not doing what you do. They can support you from some of these wholesale structures, but really being able to be in an environment, a culture to create some of that support with people who do what you do, I think is really valuable. So I didn't have anything for that. And so I'm building that to provide some of that structure for others. So this kind of talks about some of that stuff. So what to do now? Really, again, the call to action is to hop on a call with Matt. We got him plugged in now to kind of, because we have dozens and dozens of people now that are kind of raising their hand each week and saying, hey, I want to talk about this. And we usually take an hour and a half when I'm having my consultation calls. So we've had to create an additional structure there really to kind of qualify people to make sure that we're not wasting their time. Because a lot of people don't need really any of the things that we do, but they're interested in learning more. So we want to make it so that they don't have to get stuck on an hour and a half call with me, telling bad jokes when they don't even really need to be worried about any of the things that we have. So the first call to action is really connect through that calendar that's going to get emailed out to you to have a conversation with Matt. If there's something we do that can benefit you, we'll talk about it. If not, we're going to let you know. And if so, he'll throw you on my calendar and we'll chat about it. We'll get into more details like your licensing and contracting and vision and mission and all that kind of stuff, and really see what we do that could benefit you to help you either build out a succession plan, create your valuation, help you with some of these structures, or just figure out how to grow your business and get to the next level. So that's kind of what we're about. I really appreciate Western Marketing. They've been an awesome partner of ours, really helping us spread this message through their relationships. It's been a ton of fun. We've been able to help a lot of people, and we've really only just begun. Andrew, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think you kind of hit everything nail on the head there. I think the biggest thing is I think Josh will try to put contact info up for you guys to be able to get in contact with Josh, and then Matt. I know they send an automated email out that's there so that you guys can go ahead and set that appointment. It's only a phone call. See if you guys are the right fit. Answer got any questions you might have. They'll be able to point you in the right direction. Maybe one of the best opportunities that you guys might have. On top of that, we'll put a little bit of information with Western Marketing. You can email directly from me so that you can have our contact info as well, just in case if you need questions on the licensing, how things work, from a third party side. So we look forward to working with you guys. Josh, Matt, you guys are awesome. Appreciate it. You guys have done really well with some of our agents and agency owners, and look forward to having the opportunity to have you guys talk to some of the guys on the call here today. So guys and gals, sorry.
Guys and gals. Yeah, we're equal parts guys and gals with who we've been working with so far. So appreciate everybody being on the call. Have an awesome week, and we're looking forward to chatting with you. Take care.
Thanks, guys. Be good.
Thank you.